These three characters are defining the meta in Apex Legends Season 25 for one simple reason. They have zero counterplay. Just like back in the day when there was no escaping a Gibby Caustic bunker trap,
You're stuck in there,
today, if you get whistled by a Ballistic, you will lose the ability to shoot. If you're snared by an Ash, you won't be able to move. And if the squad you are destroying uses an Alter ultimate, you simply can't close the fight, and there is nothing you can do about it. If you want to rank up this season, then you're gonna have to play around these characters. So here's our guide on how to best navigate the current meta and come out on top in Season 25.
If you're serious about ranking up and want to learn from top-ranked pro players like Keon and his Watson, head over to FPS Lounge, where you'll find a range of in-depth guides or can even book one-to-one coaching with your favorite pro. Right now, the game is all about fast kills and high mobility, with fights usually taking place over large open ground, rewarding aggressive playstyles and first movers. So if you aren't playing Legends who can close the gap and secure a quick kill, then you're at a huge disadvantage. So who should you pick? Well, obviously you have the Golden 3, and we will look at those in more detail, but to really understand why they are so strong, we first need to break down the strengths and weaknesses of other Legends to get a clear picture of the meta and how we got here. First, let's look at the controller class Legends, since they have been hit especially hard this season as their kits require far too much setup, are incredibly easy to maneuver around, and ultimately only serve to stall a fight and open up a lobby-wide invite for a third party to come in and clean up. Caustic has been in a bad spot for some time now, and his desperate need for a serious rework is ever more apparent this season. His canisters are basically non-factors in most fights, as they're easy to avoid, even easier to break, and ultimately do very little damage, which is hardly going to prevent a team from just walking up on you. And with his ult covering such a limited space, high mobility Legends can simply reposition and problem solve. Catalyst is simply far too slow, requiring multiple steps to get the max value out of her setup, and you kinda have to be inside a building to do so. This leaves your team in a super vulnerable position, as enemies can easily box you in, quickly turning your fortress into a cage. It's not even like you can really use her ult to create space and slip away, when an Ashe can just teleport her entire team to the other side and directly behind you. Rampart has a slight edge in this category, as her damage boost and Sheila at least allow you to output some damage and keep teams at bay, but she still suffers from the same weaknesses, as you'll need to take time to set up her walls and then pray that a team just happens to walk right into you rather than go around or avoid you entirely. Watson is somewhat of an exception for this class, as she can help a team to reset pretty quickly, especially when using her emergency charge upgrade, which doubles the shield recharge rate of her ult, and she can even access the Revive Expert perk, allowing her to pick up teammates in a flash. Definitely a viable pick if you play her well, but certainly not the strongest. It's a similar story for the Recon class, whose slow and methodical playstyle puts more focus on gathering intel and positioning to gain an advantage. While survey beacons can help you to pick good fights, executing a successful ambush is going to prove tricky when coming up against the more nimble characters in the roster. Vantage is particularly weak right now, as her passive is practically useless once you know how to handle a weapon. Her tactical is far outclassed by other movement abilities, and her ult is essentially just a standard sniper. But the huge laser gives away your position, and, well, Vantage is only really effective when you can maintain distance between yourself and enemy squads to provide cover for your team, which doesn't work so great when other Legends benefit so much from isolating targets. Seer is also struggling, as fast-moving targets make his passive insanely weak, whilst his tactical and ultimate abilities completely fail to lock down enemies who can simply reposition and reset. And let's not forget that his abilities light up the area, telegraphing your location to enemy squads, inviting them to get in on the party and turn off the lights. Bloodhound has seen a lot of nerfs lately that leave them in a pretty bad spot. At this point, the scan ability is pretty outdated, and compared to other tacticals, it doesn't really offer all that much utility. While it can be great for new players as they learn to recognize enemies' movement patterns, at higher ranks, you're much better off with something a bit more impactful. The ult can be pretty powerful, but it's basically just a worse version of Ballistic's ult that your team doesn't benefit from. Overall, Bloodhound is honestly probably due a slight rework to bring them up to a similar level as other Legends. Valkyrie has certainly seen better days, but her power comes from her ability to take advantage of verticality to reach positions other Legends can't.
The problem is that that's no longer the case, and when compared to other movement abilities, her jetpack is not only much slower, but also leaves her unable to fight back while in use, and with more fights happening out in the open, it's difficult for Valk to find cover while on the move, making her a pretty easy target to pick off. Crypto is still somewhat viable, although certainly a niche pick for highly coordinated teams. His value comes from his unique strength on the macro level, pre-planning rotations and engagements using his drone, which can be insanely powerful, but this is an extremely high effort playstyle that is completely reliant on your comms and your team, meaning whilst it can work for comp play, it's maybe not the best when solo queuing and falls flat versus other options.
However, it's not all doom and gloom for our Recon mains, as the latest addition to the class has proven to be a top pick this season. Sparrow's ability to cover flanks passively with his tracker dart while staying nimble and on the move with his double jump has given him a unique edge in the arena that other Recon legends struggle to replicate. Not to mention his consistent intel gathering using tracker darts at a distance to activate survey beacons and an ult that can shut down fights quickly and destroy bunker setups. Okay, now this is where things start to get interesting, as the support, skirmisher, and assault classes are much more of a mixed bag. For the longest time, Gibby was a clear staple of Apex Legends, but today, he's without a doubt the worst support pick in the game. And that's really saying something, because the support perk is kind of overpowered right now, and without it, Gibby would probably be totally unplayable. Like other defensive legends, Gibby is designed for claiming space, and while his bubble can bring the fight up close and personal, and he may be able to utilize the Revive Expert perk to pick up down teammates inside, Mobile Legends can pretty easily dive in and out, dodging his ultimate for a quick, easy fight. His shotgun perk would come in clutch in these situations if shotguns were a little stronger, but unfortunately, Gibby just doesn't make the cut right now. Now, this might be a little controversial, as while he is one of the most fun legends, especially for stomping pubs, Octane is simply outclassed by other picks right now. Sure, he's fast-paced and can be a great option for entry fraggers, but when compared to alternatives, they just do the same job better. His kit is just a little too risky and simplistic, which makes him difficult to recommend right now. Fuse is something of a niche pick right now, as while he can disrupt resets by creating large danger zones and forcing teams into unfavorable situations, his effectiveness is pretty much tied to the environment where these fights occur. It's pretty difficult to consistently land knuckle clusters on fast-moving targets, let alone his ult, but if you're able to catch your opponent off guard, Fuse can be truly devastating. It's just not very likely to happen. With that said, we do see pro players like Keon take Fuse into competitive play quite often, and he seems to have no problem hitting rank 1 Apex Predator almost every season. If you don't focus on getting kills and instead use Fuse to aggressively control space, then he's actually a fairly decent pick. It really just depends on your team's composition and the playstyle you're going for. Mad Maggie was pretty much Respawn's answer to the Gibby meta, giving players some counterplay to bubbles and bunker strategies, but since we aren't really seeing those right now, she's actually pretty limited. Her ult is inconsistent at the best of times, but now we have so many options to avoid it that it's essentially a non-factor, and since shotguns aren't really all that strong right now, we aren't really able to make the best use of her passive either. Horizon held the top spot for quite some time due to her unique gravity lift and show-stopping ultimate, but today we have a much wider selection of movement abilities available which can completely negate the ult and don't leave you as vulnerable as the gravity lift does. She's still pretty viable, there's just better options out there. Revenant certainly has potential, but after the recent changes to the Skirmisher class, which removed the reset of tactical abilities after a knock, he's seen a significant loss of power that leaves him pretty vulnerable, as he now struggles to get out of fights even with his insane health pool. His kit demands that you stay in the fight to the very end using his leap to get close and his bonus health to dominate in 1v1s, but with such a large hitbox, good teams have no issue beaming him to the ground before he even lands. And lastly, Newcastle, who arguably has some of the strongest abilities in the game, allowing him to reset and securely pick up down teammates at the push of a button. He can certainly be pretty viable in the right situation, but since his kit leans so heavily into defense, he doesn't offer a lot of stopping power against dive comps that can get past his fortifications. Okay, so that covers all the legends you should probably avoid this season, and I think you're probably starting to get the picture. Fast good, slow bad. So let's take a look at the 3 must-pick characters and break down what makes them so strong before diving into some potential alternatives. First up, we have Ballistic. After several underwhelming seasons, this legend has quickly risen to the top as a very dominant pick. His ultimate is completely unmatched for aggressive plays, giving you and your team insane buffs like increased movement and reload speed and unlimited ammo, whilst maxing out your sling weapon with all the best attachments. Pop a Rampager Devotion in that bad boy and you'll be ripping enemy squads to pieces in seconds. But let's not forget about his tactical Whistler, which literally removes enemies' ability to even shoot their weapon. And with up to 4 charges, you can completely shut down an entire squad for the most overpowered advantage imaginable with room for error. If you want to dominate with Ballistic, make sure to group up with your team and pop your ultimate before a fight. Look to land your tactical on each member of the squad whilst dishing out insane damage with your sling weapon for a quick squad wipe. And remember, his tactical can lock onto a target and travel around corners, so use it to flush enemies out of cover even from behind ramparts, walls, and Newcastle shield. With a 24% pick rate, Ashe is clearly dominant this season, and for good reason. Her dash and ultimate give her some of the best mobility in the game, making her practically unkillable as you simply can't chase her down, whilst her snare makes it super easy to lock down enemies for swift takedowns. The best part is that you don't even need to rely on your teammates, since she gets a lot of her value out of aggressive solo pushes and flanks which disrupt enemy squads. Of course, it's only more impactful if you can coordinate with your team, but being able to solo carry makes the character super easy to pick up and climb the ranks with. When playing Ashe, make sure you stay on the move and look to flank your enemies to catch them off guard. Use your tactical to hold squads in unfavorable positions, or throw it from a distance before diving in with your ultimate for a quick cleanup. Remember that you can always use your dash or your ultimate to escape sticky situations and use cover to your advantage to become an unkillable machine. And lastly, we have Alter. Her abilities are simply too good not to have them in your squad. Being able to teleport all over your enemies allows you to make super high risk, high reward plays, and with her ultimate, you always have a quick reset available if things go south. Unlike Ashe, however, Alter really requires a lot of team coordination and has a much higher skill cap because of this. She's definitely a pick for more experienced players, but in the right hands, she is completely unmatched and by far one of the strongest characters in the game right now. Use your tactical to run circles around your enemies, bait them into chasing you, and lead them into traps. If you or your teammates get caught, you can always ult back to safety for a safe reset. Just be careful where you are placing your portals, because even the best players can make mistakes.
Okay. Alright.
As we mentioned in the intro, these 3 characters are insanely powerful right now because they simply have no counterplay. If you get hit by a snare or a whistler, you're going to be at a huge disadvantage and there's very little you can do about it. And if an Alter teleports away, you're going to have to accept that the fight is over and you've burnt your resources or trying to chase them down. With that in mind, if you want to be able to counter these picks, you'll need to play legends who can dodge utility and quickly respond to aggression or reset on the fly. Our next tier focuses on legends that have some counter potential and can use their kit to prevent rushes and escape danger. We already touched on Wattson, but one thing that we didn't mention is that her generator can destroy snares and whistlers before they impact your team. Now, obviously, this isn't going to stop them 100% of the time, and good teams will play around or even destroy the generator before engaging, but it does present a solid obstacle for these legends. Newcastle's wall can also block projectiles while it's charged, but it's a little more clunky and that can cause problems when you need to react quickly. Mirage, Loba, and Bangalore also have some decent options. Bangalore, of course, can obscure enemies' vision, whilst Mirage can trick enemies into burning their utility, both making it difficult for these S-tier legends to engage effectively. Bangalore is also particularly strong for controlling aggressive teams, as smart players can use her smokes to hold them in place, prevent rotations, and even guide them into unfavorable situations.
Now, everyone is going to have to move other than that team in front of us. We want to control where we are. Let this team run into the others. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to smoke them so that they actually can't engage with us. And now the other team, wherever they are, is going to have to rotate into them. Alt, so that they don't feel inclined to walk up on me.
They have Alter.
Yeah.
They went inside, like underneath.
Yeah. Yeah, they just Alter portal. Now we can start walking. So now they're guaranteed to be in that team's back. Now we can start playing zone and start putting lots of pressure here.
And Mirage can create a lot of chaos, feed valuable intel to the team, and has some great tech for supportive plays that can completely turn the fight around. Loba might not always be the best in fights, but her ability to quickly reposition not only works great as an escape tool, it can be used to gain a positional advantage quickly. This means she can not only get out of enemy dives, she can easily flank mid-fight to get off some unexpected damage. And if things don't go to plan, she can create distance and revive her teammates before enemy squads can catch up. These 4 legends are solid picks for slowing things down whilst remaining on the offense, with the ability to quickly reset when things go bad. But these are reactive picks that are counting on the enemy team making a mistake. If you want to truly go head-to-head with these legends, then you're going to need to bring more aggressive options that can shift the fight in their favor. If you're looking for a solid mobile pick, then good news, Pathfinder is back this season. His zipline now grants a 50% damage reduction so your team can safely cross large distances. His grappling hook has a variable cooldown, meaning reduced wait times between short distance hooks, and his upgrades give you access to survey beacons or ring consoles and an additional charge of grapple or zip lines. These changes make him a nimble option for keeping tabs on enemy squads, zipping around fights, dodging enemy utility, and dealing damage on the move. However, he is still quite vulnerable as he is fully targetable while grappling, so you'll need expert movement to go toe-to-toe with enemy squads. Use survey beacons or ring consoles to find advantageous spots before using his insane mobility to run circles around enemy squads. Wraith did lose some power with the changes to skirmishers, but her tactical is still a great option for escaping enemy dives, while her passive should help to keep you alert to incoming squads, and her ult offers a makeshift reset tool. If you're going to play Wraith, be sure to save her tactical for escapes and always be aware of enemies taking your portal to get the jump on you. Sparrow's ability to activate multiple survey beacons every game makes him a viable option in this meta, as he can keep tabs on enemy teams at all times without ever putting himself in danger. Use this intel to take fights where you have an advantage and keep mobile to come out on top. Lifeline remains a staple in the current meta with a kit built for sustainability and quick resets without the downtime of healing or revives. Being able to continuously dish out damage while keeping the team's health topped up is insanely strong, especially against squads that are looking to isolate picks and move fast. And lastly, we have Conduit. Honestly, one of the most slept on legends this season, her recent buffs to her upgrades make her quick shielding insanely strong. The ability to quickly react to bursts of damage and keep your teammates topped up is seriously underrated in a low TTK meta, and her ultimate not only slows down enemy dives, but also makes your dives even more effective. And unlike Wattson or Newcastle, Conduit can stay on the move while supporting her team. If you're looking to get an advantage this season, then obviously you should try to play Ashe, Ballistic, or Alter, but if they just aren't your thing, then there are some decent options available that play into the current meta and some potential counters that could shift things up entirely. At the end of the day, playing meta picks will only get you so far, but if you really want to improve and take your gameplay to the next level, no matter the season, then check out fpslounge.com to learn the techniques used by the world's best players to level up their skills fast.